Welcome to the St. Peter's School Board meeting of Thursday, February 24th, 2022 in the Governor's Room at the St. Peter Community Center. I would like to call the meeting to order, and can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we consider to adopt the agenda, I'd like to recommend one change, that we move information item number 1, which is Native American Parent Advisory Committee, to follow the Student Council report. Bernie is here, and she has things to do, and it's snowing, and so it would be great to allow her an opportunity to leave after that if she wants. With that, I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Agenda is adopted. If anyone would like to speak to an agenda item tonight, please give a card to Sarah. Not seeing any requests to speak on the agenda, just again talk to Sarah if that's what you would like to do. Move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Is there an item that any member would like to pull out or recognize or ask questions about, or barring that, if there is a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. We just started, so no biggie. Yeah, no biggie. No, that's okay. We did move information item number 1 to follow the student spotlight.
Okay, perfect.
And we are at the student spotlight right now.
Okay.
So Principal Doherty.
We are ready. That was going to be my line. Board Chair Leonard, members of the board, I'm very excited tonight to introduce you to the North Elementary Spotlight student for the month of February. I call her neighbor Nora. Nora Caven is her name. She and her family kind of tie down one end of Clark Street in our neighborhood, and then the Doherty household is on the other, so we got them bookmarked right there. As you know, we have a number of recognitions that we do at North. We have golden tickets that we give away for kids that are doing just their great job, what's expected of them. We do Saints, Super Saints. That's another level. And then there's the Spotlight student, which Nora is one of those individuals. And she was nominated by Mrs. Friedrich, a 4th grade teacher. And I'm going to let her take it away now and basically let you all know about Nora. So go ahead, Nora.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nora Caven. I am a 4th grade student in Miss Friedrich's class. I am very excited to be the Spotlight student for North. Let me tell you a little about myself. At school, I really like math. We are currently practicing our geometry skills, and I'm really good at it.
Actually, stop her right there because we had a great conversation. We had a great conversation in my office last week as we were getting ready for this, and she said, she's like, well, I really like math. I'm really good at it. I said, Nora, how good at math are you? She's like, well, I'm pretty good at it. I'm like, well, how good are you? And so we looked up your score, and so we do that math, a math test, and I explained to Nora, like, she's in the top 98 percentile. So I said, If we took 100 students, random 4th grade students, from the United States, there'd be only like 2 kids or maybe 1 student that scored higher on that. So
Yeah, that's real good.
she is really good at math.
You are good at math.
All right.
Miss
Oh,
Reed.
wait, you're right. I want to share one more thing. It's not the Mr. Doherty show. Practice. I'm just going to remind Nora, we had the 4th grade kindness retreat today. And so she's coming off an all-day event down at Johnson Hall. So she was going to share maybe a couple things, your favorite takeaways from the kindness retreat.
It was probably like the dance party and when we played games with all the high school students, and that's mostly it.
What was the big, what'd you learn from the event? Like, what was the big thing? Like, okay, we got to remember this.
To always be kind to other people.
That's a big takeaway. Lots of energy. Are you tired after today?
Yes.
Okay, I promise I won't interrupt you. All right.
Okay. Miss Friedrich really challenges us in math, and that is why I've been able to learn so much. One kind of math strategy we learned this year is long division. In fact, we thought it would be a good idea to help all of you practice some long division.
Oh, come on.
This is Tim's moment, and he's missing it.
Two different strategies.
Oh yeah, 2 different.
Can one of my strategies be to ask Nora?
Something else that I've really enjoyed in school recently is not having to wear a mask anymore. When I'm not at school, I'm usually practicing and competing at dance performances. I started dancing at 2 years old. I recently competed at St. Peter High School and in Monticello. It was my first solo performance in Monticello, and I did well. I placed high gold and platinum in all 8 of my dances. Something I'm looking forward to go to when I go to the middle school after this year is not having to share the same school as my brother. He will be coming to North soon, but I won't be there. However, I won't be able to tease him at school, but I can at home I can. My family is also with me tonight. Their names are my dad, Chris, who's probably your local pharmacist, my mom, Erin, my 2 brothers, Corbin and Colson, my grandma and grandpa are with me tonight.
Any questions for Nora?
Well, Nora, you say you're good at math. I have to think you're pretty good at communicating, too, for a 4th grader. So what do you think you're going to do with your math and communication skills when you actually get done with high school at the end? Is there anything that you're dreaming of now, or you're just open for anything?
I'm probably going to be a pharmacist with my dad.
Good choice.
Nora, are your brothers as good at math, or are you going to have to help them?
Well, my Corbin, the second oldest, he got my math skills.
That's excellent.
You know, my daughter's name is Nora, and she has 2 younger brothers, too, so.
Oh, Mr. Krause.
Oh,
No, he's got 2 strategies for you.
mine,
You can look it over.
mine might be late.
When should they return them? By the end of the day, Friday, maybe 3 o'clock?
I may have been a 5th grade teacher.
Did you get it right?
Nope.
All right, now you have to tell us.
What did I miss?
So there's actually 4 friends here.
Oh, it's a trick question,
Oh,
Nora.
Oh, there you go.
I know the answer.
And
I just
3
have to get the
What-
second
what did Mr.
strategy.
Grunt say?
Nora.
What mistake did he make?
I did. I went with
Divided by what?
He divided
by
by
3
3.
instead of 4. Oh, man.
Oh,
He was he was testing.
It was actually one of our math problems we did as a class, so.
did you pick up on it in the first try when you saw it? Of course you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
75 got me because I wanted to divide by 75.
Yeah. Well, I did the same thing, so I'll admit it. I did 3. So.
3, yeah.
Well, they might reach out to you for some help with math.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could be a tutor when you get older.
I don't know about that.
Thanks for having Nora on. It's
Thank you,
working.
Nora.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Really appreciate it.
See you around the neighborhood.
Well, Eva didn't want to have to follow that, so I don't think we have a student council report. So we will move on to Native American Parent Advisory Committee. Principal Graff.
Good evening.
There's my answer.
Thanks for inviting us. As you guys know, school districts in the state of Minnesota with 10 or more Native American students are required to have a Native American Parent Advisory Committee. St. Peter hit that threshold in 2017, and Bernadette Volk has been the chair of that committee since that time. One of the things that the committee does, alongside of being the advisory or playing an advisory role to the district, is does an annual vote of concurrence. And what that vote is for is basically saying publicly whether or not the team feels that the district is meeting the statute of having the Native American Parent Advisory Council, and the second part, meeting the needs of the Native American students. So Bernadette is here tonight to share a little bit about that. They had their vote, their last meeting, which was last week.
Last Tuesday.
Yep, so go ahead.
Okay, as we met and we talked about what we thought, how the school was doing with Native American children and stuff, and we voted in concurrence with what, we had down, that we thought the school was doing a great job. And, the progress in the equity work that's going on, especially additions of the equity coordinator position that was office. The NAPAC appreciates the continued professional development opportunities for staff. Overall, the NAPAC, which is Native American Parent Advisory Council, feel that the district staff has positive relationships with the students, impressed with the continued low dropout rate at the high school. The team would like to see the district, though, continue working with cultural awareness and would like the district to explore opportunities for after-school academic support. Just so like we said, we've received the grants and everything for the students that are coming in, so we got money to try to figure out how to help tutoring and especially the culture awareness. We talked quite extensively on how remarks are said to some of the students, which I'm sure every culture probably sees that too. And I think the different opportunities, the different things that we thought of to put into this school, like different flags from the different tribes, cultural events to try to have it, where all the students could understand the good and the bad with the history of the Native Americans and stuff like that had happened and stuff. And try to teach them that it's not a good thing to think that you could say degrading things to any nationality, for everybody. And I think the education of what they do and why they do it and stuff will help all the students. So I think it'll all work out pretty good. I'm happy with it. It amazed me. What did we go to see? Was it the truancy? I don't think he was there. The truancy meeting that they had like last month or so, when they said the dropout rate was like 3 or 5%, just floored me. Because where I come from, it was like 35%. You'd start out with like 70% of the students of the school that was in, 75% of the students were Native American. You would only have 1 or 2 graduate. And it was really a sad situation. But that said that the dropout rate's that low, and I said, oh my God. My grandson needs to get a lot of help. So hopefully we can get them all, where they can graduate or go through, and this thing that my grandson's in is the welding. And his interest, you could just see it in his face, the hands-on, and I've always talked about that. The hands-on with kids is a lot different than throwing books at kids and say, read this. So I think a lot of this stuff really works, if we keep moving forward. So that was pretty much all we discussed.
From my experience with the team, an amazing team, very, very knowledgeable and very, very collaborative, has provided a ton of support to the district, and we look forward to that continued support and that continued collaboration with the team. So, any questions?
I really appreciate the work that you do and the dedication to this committee and the district, Bernie, and to have continuity since it began is really key, and we just appreciate your expertise and enthusiasm and continued support.
We're having our first senior graduate this year. So we're doing the feather ceremony, we're not planning on having it at school.
It'll be a separate.
Yeah, it's a separate
Separate
deal,
ceremony.
so we're on the side there, but we're also doing the star blanket. And I don't know, did we get approval to do it? Because where I come from, is when they go up and they call their name for their diploma, I would always stand off to the side over here when I came off the stage, and then just wrap a star blanket around them, and then they can go sit down, is what we did. And I don't remember if we got approval from anybody to do that yet.
I think that conversation's still going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's what we'd like to do. So it's at that time where we start ordering the star blankets, because, it takes a little while to get them. The feather ceremony, graduation's in May. So the feather ceremony is usually like a week or so before that and stuff, to get the approval on whether or not they get put them on their caps, because isn't it traditional here not to have anything on the caps,
Traditionally.
traditionally?
Yeah.
See, before, you usually tie them on the little.
I can't remember
If anybody's ever
if
done it
anybody's done it,
different.
but I also, in my tenure, no one's asked,
I don't know
so
if anybody's asked.
there's that
Yeah,
too.
because a lot of times they put them on little medicine wheels, the girls, or the angels, the girl that's graduating, they usually put like a little plume tied to a medicine wheel on their hat like that. And whether or not, I think we'd probably talk to the high school
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Principal
And get their
Engeldinger,
approval,
yeah.
and I'm sure probably they talk to you too. But just so if they could do something a little different like that. So it'd be something we'll work at in the next couple of months.
Great.
Does any other nationality do that? Anything for the seniors yet? Or anything? Any grade?
Yeah, I would encourage anybody that has requests like that to get in touch with Principal Engeldinger as soon as possible so that we can become aware of those. And
Any kind of
Yeah.
traditional? Because it was always the thing I told people where I'm from is that years ago you got a feather for killing. Or, a big hunt and stuff, usually you get an eagle feather. And now, I said, since we had such a big dropout rate where we'd only have like 1 or 2 graduating, when I started the feather ceremony and the star blankets, when I left and came up here, my seniors were 14 that had graduated and stuff. So I said, if you get that little incentive, that little goal that they might, stick in there, and it worked. We went from 1 year and went up to 14, so
that's
go from
amazing.
there.
Yeah, nice work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and you guys have a good night.
You too.
Hopefully it doesn't snow too bad.
Oh, it's almost done.
So we need to close the meeting now, right? We, our next item on the agenda is a discussion around non-public student data. And so that requires us to close the meeting because we are legally unable to speak about that in a public meeting. So we'll go ahead and we'll vote on whether or not we can close the meeting. If we close the meeting, we'll close that, and then we'll have that discussion, and then we will come back for any vote in the public meeting. So,
I move to close the meeting.
we have a motion and a second.
I think you have to include the reason in the motion.
Yeah.
Well,
To discuss it
discuss non-public.
Okay, to close the meeting for non-public student information, yes.
We have a motion and a second to close the meeting to discuss non-public student educational data. Any more discussion? Call the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is unanimous. So if you could just,
We'll let you know.
yeah, find a vending machine for a few minutes or something. I think they're downstairs. Good, I'm talking about Mountain Dews. All right, welcome back. We had a board motion to reopen the meeting. And now we move on to action items. The first is to consider resolution for expulsion. I will read that resolution now. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of School District 508, in accordance with Minnesota Statutes 121A.40, 121A.49, the Pupil Fair Dismissal Act of 2005. On this day, February 24, 2022, conditionally expels student A beginning on February 24th, 2022 through February 23rd, 2023. The right to a hearing has been waived by signature of the student's parent. During the period of expulsion, the student will be provided alternative educational services as determined by the school district. That is a resolution, so we need someone to move the resolution.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Hearing no further discussion, we'll move the resolution. Drew?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
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 Resolution is unanimous. Moving on to action item number 2, consideration of a resolution to restructure debt.
Yes, this is something that we have been talking about for a while and looking into, and we have met with the business committee early last week and learned more about some possibilities. We have invited Mr. Michael Hoheisel from Baird Financial to share some information about some possibilities and to have some possible actions to take. So with that, I will hand it over to you, Mike.
And my computer decided to die.
Oh, no.
So before you have a resolution that we discussed with the finance committee last week, and in this resolution, basically, since I can't read it off my screen, gives it. I would refer to it as a parameters resolution. And what it is doing is it's saying that it gives the opportunity for you, the school district, to look at the possibility of refinancing. We call it refunding in our business. This 2015 voter-approved bond package. Now, to give you a quick context, but not to bore you, that the way it was structured in the past, the district was hoping that at the point when some other debt was rolling off, that as the payment increased, that you, the district would be receiving state aid in the form of payments to reduce upcoming levies. And based on how fast St. Peter has grown, tax base-wise, and the ratio to that to your students, you have become a much richer tax base per kid, so you are not going to receive that equalization. So if you can imagine that your payments are around $3,249,000, perfect, thanks, Bill. $3,249,000. In the next 4 years, that payment will turn, that $3,250,000 will turn into $4,250,000. So there's a ramp up in the payment over the next 4 years. What we were looking at with the district administration is to say, let's control that payment and slow that roll down, and in the meantime, can we save you money doing that? Now, what happened while we were getting all the meetings and everything, January and February happened. And in our market, rates went up 0.5%. So the traditional way of being able to refinance that did not exist till about, maybe 8:30 this morning with today's events, because of a want of taking over a pipeline maybe is centrally focused in the country of Russia. So we don't know what the rates are going to do. We don't know what is going to be in store for us in the next couple months. But what this resolution says is that it gives you the authority to prepare all documentation. It gives the superintendent and or the business manager and one school board office the opportunity, when there's paperwork to be signed or decision to be made, to lock in so that we can come back to the board and say to you that we've saved the community at least, I think this 3% is going to put us around 1.4, 1.5 million. We would be looking at I've done runs in the last month that have been anywhere from 3 to 6, depending on parameters, assumptions, and who's interested. So it's a very good opportunity still, even though we're in a rising interest rate environment, to restructure this debt on your behalf and be able to push some of those payments away with that refinance. So this just is a fancy document that gives, that sets a minimum savings goal and also allows the district's administration to sign on documentation and enter into what we call the Minnesota Credit Enhancement Program. And I will, do you have anything else to add?
No. Mike, that wouldn't be finalized until the board came back and voted on it, right?
It would, what would happen is it would allow the 2 or 3 persons that sign to lock in, and then at the next regularly scheduled meeting, or if we asked you, if we really wanted to lock in and timing was, we'd ask you to get a quorum together, possibly for a special meeting to be called, so that we could lock those documents in and lock those rates. We don't have, we have the one commercial banking firm that is interested in this paper hasn't given us how their total process works and how things are signed. They've said, we'll give you indicative rates, and this is a lock, but if the world turns upside down, we're not gonna lock it, and that's obviously not gonna satisfy us. So, but we think, yes. The short answer is yes, the full board will ratify the savings of this, and if you have any, minimum savings goals or ideas, but we know that we wouldn't be happy about just saving some money. We want to make this worth your while.
And the state statute says 3% is the minimum.
These bonds aren't, yes, these bonds are not callable, unlike your house mortgage, where if you flip your mortgage, you want to redo it, the day that you close on your new mortgage, the old mortgage is paid off. This new mortgage can't pay the old mortgage off till February 1st, 2025. So it's got 3 years before we can take that out. We can manipulate payments and structure so that we're taking out those increases in the next 3 years. One scenario I looked at held the highest payment as we move from 3.25 million. You can imagine the payments increasing about 2.5% per year. When that payment got out to about 3.9 million, then I was able to lock that payment in throughout the maturity through 2041. That scenario provided us about $4 million worth of savings, and $4,250,000 was the highest payment you would have had pre-refinancing. So that seemed like a good way to handle the restructure.
So go ahead.
So this is a savings to taxpayers because we collect fewer dollars to make that payment. And it avoids that cliff that we've talked about. It avoids that cliff, and hopefully it gives us some flexibility with some other categories to address some of the needs that we've been talking about as well, like space for Rock Bend. Because if we had that increase in the bonds, and then we started adding some to, say, our lease levy for a new space for Rock Bend, that would just compound the increase to taxpayers. And so this way, if we find some savings in those bonds and we're increasing our lease levy, it won't be such an impact on taxpayers.
And these are funds that we will use towards district buildings. It's not, oh great, we have a couple $1 million more and we can.
Well, we'll collect less.
Right.
Correct. If you've got your operational side, you've got your, what I'm going to say, facilities or building side, this stays over in this bucket. It won't relieve pressure on your operational funds.
Right.
And by us providing those savings is pretty much 100% taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, just trying to get the point across to taxpayers that this is a good deal for them. It's a good deal for the district. And just like so many of us refinanced our houses because that was a good deal. But unlike, when we refinance our houses and maybe can buy a new car or something, we're still investing those dollars into the district collecting less dollars.
Yeah.
It's, it seems like a real win for everyone.
I apologize if you already said the timeline, but okay, so this is ideally going to be a favorable time to do this. Like, we can't do this again for a set amount of time, right? Like, this is, if you refinance now, you can't do it again in,
We have proposed to one of the firms that are looking at refinancing 15 years of your 19 maturity. We proposed looking at it, they don't want any of it callable. And I said that was non-negotiable. We'd look at an 8-year call, meaning the bonds from 2030 forward could be refinanced. But what we're looking at is, we're looking at selling a taxable issue that will, on call date, I call it a Cinderella bond. Midnight hits at the call date, and the glass slipper and all the ferries, are still around because it goes from taxable to a tax-exempt interest rate. And that's how we're able to be at a spot where, hey, we're thinking the market right now, if we were just to do a taxable transaction for you, we could save you $750 to $1.2 million. By being able to put the conversion in, the convertible bond, that's where we pick up the extra $2 to $3 million of the savings we're hoping. So yes, there will be a time where we'll be locked out, but because of those, we could be as low as a 2.66% versus 4% coupons right now. So yeah, we always want to set it up to be as flexible as possible, that if you get a chance again, that we can take it.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I understand this would be moving pretty quickly to take advantage of the present interest rate.
I think that in 2 weeks' time, we could have this buttoned up, which was absolutely very fast.
Yeah.
In our mortgage industry. But we had the advantage of, Sanderson, and we had a firm or two reach out to us and say, hey, do you have any, we're looking for this. And we responded and said, hey, we actually need. Yeah. And we hadn't heard from them for 3 years. So with that, these commercial banks are trying to lock in with maximizing their cost of paper and finding a client like yourself that's respectable, will pay your bills. So it's very exciting on my side of the business.
I'm excited.
I'm sure a couple of you are bored to tears, and I apologize.
Never bored when you're saving money, you just might not understand it all.
And Director Loganskard was at the business committee, so he heard all of this as well.
Yeah, we went through this in depth, and again, thank you. It seems like a great, from my perspective, a great opportunity for taxpayers in the district.
And thank you for...
There's a lot of floating pieces still. I apologize, or I can't just lay it out and say, here's a beautiful product, but we're piecing it together, and hopefully we can put the puzzle together right for you.
The world's changing every minute.
Yep.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. Well, this would be a resolution, and so unlike the last resolution, I'm not reading it because it is 3 pages long.
Usually we just read the title, and if you want me to read the title instead of you feel free. But,
You have my titles.
This right here, the bold, right?
Yes. Yep.
Resolution stating the intention of the school board to issue general obligation refunding bonds and authorizing the issuance of such bonds, authorizing the negotiations for the sale of such bonds and the award thereof, covenanting and obligating the district to be bound by and to use the provisions of the Minnesota statutes, section 126C.55, to guarantee the payment of the principal and interest on the bonds.
And everything else it says.
And everything else that it says. And if anyone would like a copy of that in writing, I'm sure that we provide that.
Yep.
Move the resolution.
I'll second.
Excellent. We have a motion and a second to move the resolution. We'll start with Charlie.
Aye.
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 Resolution carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
driving 3 hours through the snow.
You know, it's part of the job. Thank you so much, and I hope we can pull this puzzle off, because it will be something to be able to bring you millions of dollars into savings in a rising interest rate environment. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so
And
much. Safe
drive
travels.
safe.
See you soon. You
If you're in
too.
the valley, it was much easier drive after Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Twin Cities people, they don't know how to drive.
Thank you. We have one more action item, and that is second final reading of revisions to the policy manual. The policy committee did not hear any follow-up questions to the first reading last meeting, so
I do want to mention that some of these are coming to you for the first time, but the only difference in the policy is the policy number. So as you remember, we're switching over to the.
I know all about that. I was trying to get that, I thought we should get that down.
Yeah, and so, some of those, it was 303, 304, and 713 are the exact words we currently have with a different number. So with a non-material change, you can accept those in one reading.
So Sarah, as you're updating these on the website, are you like, I know you have the old numbering and the new numbering system, so like, you're just taking, if we're changing the number, you just take it out of the old one, and then, so all the old stuff's coming out and the new stuff's
Yep.
going in, okay?
Yeah, so then the old one will say, see policy 391. Like if it replaces it or whatever.
It'll be nice when it's done, like every year.
well,
We're gonna cruise. We're
Oh,
gonna
okay,
cruise.
all right, sorry, didn't mean to, I trust you.
You
They're
were
gonna go
on.
on an accelerated
You were on
pace.
when we were taking on some
Thank you,
meteor ones.
thank you.
Yeah.
So I would move that we consider the second and final revisions, accept second reading and final revisions to the policy manual.
Great. Do you have a motion?
Do we wanna say the numbers on those or not, no?
Do we need to?
I don't know, I just was wondering.
Okay. For policy 801, 801 FM, policy 802, policy 805, policy 904, policy 304, 303, 304, and 713.
Second.
Great. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Woo-hoo. Information items, addition of native speaking Spanish at the middle school level.
Mr. Graff.
This sounds exciting.
Super exciting. As is our practice, we update the board anytime that we have new courses or additional sections of things. This year, we really saw an increased need for a specific section of our Spanish class for our native speakers. Right now, those native speakers are mixed with our first and second year Spanish speakers, and our Spanish teachers are doing a wonderful job of differentiating. But those numbers are high enough now that next year we plan to offer a specific section for those native speakers. And those courses will be able to be accelerated and really work on the things that our native speakers would need to be able to get increased vocabulary, increased reading, and the more technical aspects of the Spanish language.
And we have done this at the high school for several years, and it has been very successful.
It's fabulous, thank you.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you.
Has it caused any problems as far as you're pulling out of the general population in the one class? I mean, has that caused any student-to-student problems in the halls or anything like that?
So currently they aren't, but we don't foresee that happening because we have the 4 blocks, and it would just be, they would just be coming together for that particular block, but then they would be the native speakers would be back out with everybody else. So we don't foresee any issues with that.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Move on to our last information item before reports, and that is the first reading of revisions to the policy manual.
Yes, this one too is very similar to what we have, except for we have updated section 3 to reflect our current committees.
That seems like a good idea.
It's less confusing now.
So,
So did it not reflect our
that's exactly what I'm just thinking.
So
Hold on a minute.
So this is the model policy.
Oh,
Oh,
And
yes.
so the ones that were listed here were just what MSBA had in for a model.
okay.
And there was a notation that each district should determine what committees go in this space. I think they were there as just kind of their
Sure.
placeholders.
I was right with you.
Do we have a section like this in our
We do.
policy? Okay. I
Yeah.
don't remember.
It goes into great detail too about each committee and what they do.
It does. How many people are on there? And it lists like all the topics.
Okay.
And
I
so
didn't remember either.
we did have some discussion about whether or not we should include a description of these and, you know, kind of listing the kinds of things that they work with. But we thought leaving it more general for the policy made sense, and to have that description elsewhere. Like it's in the school board handbook, it's described what each of those policies are.
Our website makes a lot
committees.
of sense.
Yeah.
Great.
So in the first reading, anytime between now and the next meeting, if you have questions, feel free to forward those to Kate or Charlie or myself. Or Superintendent Grunstead.
Bring it.
Not all at once. though.
Tracy might miss it. I don't know.
Can't say I have. Okay.
Well, the last meeting was at 7 a.m., so.
See,
Yeah.
I've been there.
After a snowstorm.
Reports. Principal Doherty, did you get elected this time?
I did, yeah.
It seems fair. You've, maybe it's your time.
I feel like I used too many of my minutes doing my Nora.
Oh, let me start the,
Just wait, Nora, just wait.
let me start the timer.
And go. I'm excited, like, talking about all these programs tonight. Here we go. I don't know if I'll be able to live up to Mrs. Crockey and Mr. Graff's expectations, but I feel like they're watching me over my shoulder, so let's get it started with our earliest. So, early childhood. Looks like EC held an open house last Thursday for families that may be interested in signing up for preschool in the fall. It was the first early evening open house they've tried, and overall attendance was high. It was good. Also, early childhood has been busy planning spring events and fall programming, including the spring vehicle fair. So keep that in mind. That'll be in May. Parents who are interested in signing up their child for preschool should call the EC office for more information. Early childhood. On to South. Mrs. Elke is gone tonight. They're welcoming our new class into the building. They're doing an open house tonight at South. So that's where she's at tonight. So doing it a little bit differently. It's more of like kind of stations kind of rolling through. I think she's shared today there are about 12 different stations throughout the building. And so the students or the incoming kindergarten students are showing their families around or getting to know the building. It's a class of 2035. Just think about that one.
I just turned to dust. I'm sorry.
Yeah. 2035, I'm looking at it. Is that a typo? And just a reminder, it's online registrations open for the next school year. So that's very streamlined process of central registration. Really helps a lot. And I believe the numbers are, at this point, they're usually for incoming kindergartners, maybe 15, 20 like registered, but I believe Dorian said they're already 45 plus, 45, 50 at this point already. So it's early, and that's great. 90 attend, that's awesome. That's really good.
Sign them up.
Yep. So let's see, in addition to Valentine's Day, South also celebrated the 100th day of school with a variety of math activities. Should have sent Nora over there to help with that. Bus driver, where do we go? Bus driver appreciation were also handed out for the bus drivers, and 22 which was on Tuesday. They did a 2-minute dance party at 2:22 p.m. It's all good. We missed out on that one. And then also, Dorian shared that parent council at South is going to get started up again. They haven't had meetings for a while, so it's going to be at 6:30 on March 14th. So excited to get the parent-led organization up and running again after the COVID hiatus. So all South parents are invited to attend. On to North Elementary. So as Nora mentioned, we had the 4th grade kindness retreat, big success. Youth Frontiers runs that, so they bring it down to facilitators from the Metro, and they were able to come down, and then I think we had about 30 juniors and seniors at the high school help facilitate small groups. So all the groups were 3 or 4 4th graders and then like a high school student. And it is a high octane event. Like it's the whole 6 hours down there at Johnson Hall, and the focus is kindness. And it's a great time of year. Our 4th grade teachers find that February is just like a perfect time for that, because kids just kind of get to know each other almost like siblings in their classroom. So they just need a nice little reminder about like being kind. And we want to thank, Mankato Clinic Foundation puts, we do a grant, or excuse me, we apply for a grant, and they graciously grant it every year. So the Mankato Clinic Foundation does that. And definitely want to thank Ms. Mathewitz, who headed up as the grade level lead. Let's see, the annual North Elementary Arts and Academic Nights coming up on March 10th. It's my favorite night of the year, so we have tons going on. And it's all student-led. It's like independent student stuff. So students sign up to put visual artwork on display with the help of Mrs. Nyhammer, our art teacher. They sign up for performances in the music room, and Mrs. Woods helped coordinate that. We're doing our first annual just North Elementary Spelling Bee. We're bringing it back. Now, it's not the national, we're not doing the national one, but we're just going to have it for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders, and everybody has a rep. It's going to be in the south side of the gym on the stage. And then on the other side of the gym is going to be science fair projects. So for 3rd and 4th grade, they can compete at the regional level, so that's like the first round. And then if they don't want to do a science fair, they can do an interest fair. So it's about putting a hobby on display, like communicating their interest to people that come through. So that's all that night. There'll be pizza and soda sold in the cafeteria as well. On a district level, just want to make everybody aware that state required testing season has started. So access assessments, which are for our language acquisition students, K through 12, that started. Middle school and high school is finishing up. Elementaries will be starting this next week, and then that means the other ones will be coming up too. ACT is going to be on March 8th for all 8th graders at the high school. MCAs and MTAS will be in April and end in May. We'll be all done. All right, St. Peter Middle School, Mr. Graff's building. So Treasure Island, St. Peter Middle School Theater will be presenting Treasure Island on the evenings of March 4th and 5th at 7 p.m. Middle school students will view the dress rehearsal on the afternoons of the 2nd and the 3rd. Middle school band concert, 7th and 8th grade performance on March 7th at the high school, PAC, and then 5th and 6th grade on March 8th at the high school as well. And our 4th graders are actually going to go view the 5th and 6th grade practice rehearsal, because Mrs. Shoemaker, she does a nice job of recruiting, so all the 4th graders are going to go up, listen to the 5th and 6th graders. 22-23 course registrations underway. Mrs. Dozy just about wrapped up the registration process for next year's 7th and 8th graders. 9th grade course registration has begun. Last week, high school counselors, Mr. Vanderlyn and Mrs. Carlson, visited 8th grade classrooms, discussed the 9th grade courses and requirements, and held an informational meeting for parents of current 8th graders last Thursday evening. So that's the middle school. High school, let's see, student of the month, Connor Snow. I was able to kind of travel around with him this week. He was not only Snow King last week, but then he was at the Lions meeting. I got to introduce him at the Lions meeting. And then he was working with the 4th graders today at the kindness retreat. So that's awesome to see him. And can't say enough about like those high school kids, like how they came through on that today and just leading our 4th graders. High school also wrapped up Snow Week activities last Friday. Huge thanks to Peggy Dimmick and Carmen Hansen and their student council for a great week. Sounds like participation was up across the board at the building, with lots of kids participating in dress-up days, pep fest, and a volleyball tournament to close it off. Guidance counselors Maggie Carlson and Andy Vanderlinden held a parent information session for conferences last week, and then now have met with students in every grade level, 8 through 11, regarding course registration. Next Monday night, Mr. Orcassi and the spring coaches, directors, and advisors will host a spring activity information night at 7 o'clock. And then the alternative programs, the second session of credit recovery will wrap up next week. Next opportunity for credit recovery will be a wellness course beginning March 7th. Students can recover FIED, health, and elective courses in the course. And then students at the Oshawa Learning Academy in Rock Bend are preparing for ACTs, pre-ACT, or AccuPlacer coming up on March 8th. And then Rock Bend students have started a Latino art project in collaboration with Project GEM. Their completed works will be included in a youth art show in St. Peter this spring.
Darren, when did you say that informational meeting was for?
For spring?
Yeah.
That is information night at 7 p.m. next Monday.
Monday.
Okay. I thought you said Wednesday, and I was going to say, what?
Nope, next Monday. Questions? That's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yep, thanks, everybody.
Superintendent Graza. Yes, there is a lot going on. February is Black History Month, and our schools have been incorporating a focus on Black history throughout the month in a lot of different ways. They've been reading books about African American men and women. I've seen posters, there's digital displays going on at North, there's artwork, there's been activities, and while this is Black History Month, I want to make sure that I'm saying this is something that we should be doing all year long for all of our students, to celebrate the rich diversity that's part of our schools and part of our community. We're continuously trying to increase our cultural responsiveness for our students and in our curriculum and with the teaching strategies that we're using. And we're really working to create a safe and welcoming environment where all of our staff and all of our students and community members feel that St. Peter's Schools is a place where all people are valued and honored and respected. And I'm really proud of the work that all of our staff are doing in this area of education equity, and we're looking forward to continuing that work. Darren said a lot of what I was going to say about enrollment and registration, just letting people know that all of those processes are going in place. I know it sounds like they're having a great time at South tonight with bus rides and snacks and activities, and really just making that warm and welcoming environment for our families as they explore what kindergarten's all about. I know when our first child went to kindergarten, it was a huge deal, right? I'm the youngest of 5. I think I just got on the bus the first day of school, but yeah, just go with them. But we are happy to have all of our families engaging both in early childhood and kindergarten. Pretty soon they'll be visiting North and visiting the middle school, visiting the high school. Those transitions are really important, and we want to make sure that families and students all feel comfortable with the next leg of their journey. I did want to mention that we've talked previously about our food service contract is expiring this year. Steve Prafke, Tim Regner, and B. Ong and myself have been working on the request for proposals, or RFP, and that is going to be sent to MDE for approval and then go off to vendors. We hope to have a recommendation for you looking in April of that whole process wrapping up.
as part of that, we're also developing a possible plan for self-operation so that you'll be able to see and compare what we get with a company and what we could do for ourselves and make a decision based on that. Last, certainly not least, I want to thank everyone on the school board for the work that you do for our students and our staff and our families every day. I know that when many of you signed up for this gig, you did not foresee that we were going to be headlong into a worldwide pandemic, and you have weathered a lot of difficult times, probably more difficult in many ways than others. And those of you who signed up in the middle of a pandemic, wow, I admire your grit. We really appreciate your willingness and your dedication to continue to make St. Peter's Schools a great place to learn and for all of us to work. And happy School Board Recognition Week. Thank you for having a meeting during this week so that I can
Perfect timing.
be
Do you
well
want to say anything about
timed.
yesterday?
Was that?
Want to say anything about yesterday's results,
Help me.
negotiation?
Oh, yes. Well, I didn't want to jinx anything, but we do have a tentative agreement with the office support group. They will be voting on that tentative agreement, and that will be before you next month.
Cool.
Well, thank you on the negotiations team, and thank you office support for all your work as well.
Nothing from me tonight.
Bill?
I don't know how much to discuss with you on this stuff, but I've been trying to catch up with all the information that MSBA is putting out with the legislative session. And they're asking, for districts to contact their legislators for support of certain proposed legislation and so forth. Governor Walz set out his target number for education at $788 million. The state will give its official forecast, I guess, on Monday, the 28th of February. And then both the House and Senate will come out with what their target numbers are. So MSBA is asking that we get a hold of our legislators and ask them to go no lower than Governor Walz's suggested 788. I don't know the last go around if the House was high, the Senate was low, and Walz was right in the middle, so I believe it was what it was. So I just don't know how much you want me to be bringing back to the board members all the time. They have a lot of information on their website.
Yeah, I think the study session on March 7th would be a good place to slot an agenda item just to talk about what is MSBA recommending this year. And I know in the past, we were chatting a little bit before the meeting, I know in the past, St. Peter has written a letter, and sometimes we have everything, and some years we say we really want to focus on these two things and not send a laundry list, and these are the two things we're focused on. So I think that would probably be the appropriate, not that this is inappropriate, but we can dive in a little bit more in a study session.
One thing I would suggest to those of you who are able, on Friday mornings at 9 o'clock, they have a, what do they call it? Coffee chat. and the two,
Coffee talk.
the two lobbyists are the ones that put it on. So, it's got a lot of information. I tell you what, if everything passes that's been proposed, we're gonna need another referendum.
Something that all of the associations kind of share information, and no unfunded mandates is a strong message
Yep.
being sent this year with all the conversations about adding additional pieces and raising salaries and raising minimum benefits. It would need to come with funding. Otherwise, school districts across the state are going to be in difficult times.
And I do think MSBA is having some legislation introduced Monday which will raise the $8,000 limit that school board members can make outside of the school board duties from the district as one way of helping the shortage. A lot of the rural districts, board members, part-time bus drivers, substitute teachers, all of that stuff. And so they've asked it to be raised from 8 to 20,000 as a means of trying to help out some of those shortage areas.
I mean, there's only 7 school board members per district, so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they're not a lot of employees either.
It's not gonna solve a big
No,
problem.
but it's just a small step.
Yeah. Yeah, the only other thing I would add, just, I think that we should, as a district, think about how we want to talk with our elected officials, just to give them a little grace. Both of our elected officials are in the minority party, so there's a limited amount that they can really push for. So, but contacting them is good, and they can certainly advocate. It's just we're in a different position that way than we have been in some past years.
We could urge them to think more bipartisan.
I think that would be a great message for the country.
Yeah.
There's only 7 of us, though. Yeah, thank you. Okay,
I've got nothing.
Tracy.
I guess I just want to, talk to the teachers and just, I feel like we're at that time of year where it's just kind of, we're all sick of being inside, so I can only imagine what the behaviors and things are like, so kudos to them. And I was asked again, so I said I would say it, that there's a request of what it would be to live stream the meetings, just for people to watch. And I said, well, I will bring it up, so, because I know we've talked about it, and I know it's probably a technology issue, so.
I know that the city is working on upgrading the technology in this room, and I believe that it will have fixed cameras, and I think with that change would come a little easier to
Yeah.
stream.
Yeah, that'd be
Well,
great.
because obviously having, I can't think of his name right now, Overbowl Chris here, which he isn't anymore, but that was a lot of work. I mean, we're not asking for that. That's why I know it's a technology issue, but just bringing it back up again, so.
Well, that would be great. Do you know when those upgrades are?
I don't. I was talking with Mr. Prafke about it, and I didn't hear a timeline, but he wanted to make sure that we were still planning on using this room as well, and he said that we would be welcome to use that technology too.
Great. Thanks, Tracy. Charlie. All right, that concludes Around the Table. We have upcoming meetings, like I mentioned before. Monday, March 7th is the study session, and that will be at the Middle School Media Center. Education Committee meets Tuesday, March 8th, and we have a regular board meeting on the 21st of March at 6:30 p.m. in this room, and a policy committee meeting on Wednesday, March 30th. With that, I would be very entertained by a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Excellent, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion about adjourning, or just let's just vote? All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.